The Sims 2 had one of the most advanced genetic systems in life sim history. We had recessive and dominant genes. Basically, Sims would inherit genetics based on real life inheritance rules. But Paralives just revealed a system that may completely surpass that. In a now public Patreon post from August last year, the team revealed that they've been working on an advanced genetic system since 2020. Ever since this post was first revealed, I've literally been so excited to talk about it and what this means. It speaks volumes about the depth of the gameplay and the storytelling for the game as a whole. The team said that their goal for this was to create a system that lets the player recognise certain traits passed down through generations of paras somewhat realistically without diving into overly complex genetic rules, because in real life it is extremely complex. Essentially, you can look at a para and see their parents, their grandparents and great-grandparents in them, which is especially interesting when you have a specific trait or several traits that get passed down through generations. I remember a lot of my families in The Sims for their different traits. One family all had a specific jawline or had blue eyes. For some, it was a lottery if they'd get black or red hair, because I knew some of the family members had the recessive gene for red hair. It can get pretty complex and there are people a lot better at explaining it than me, but Paralives want to keep it simple but interesting. In Paralives, genetics will work with several different rules rather than a blanket rule for all things that can be inherited. For facial features, the team have said that this will be simple. A child's nose will either be from their mum or their dad. One or the other. It's a 50-50 chance coin flip, but not exactly the way that it works in The Sims 3 and 4. So this basically means that they'll inherit all of the sliders for that specific feature. So a nose could be controlled by several sliders like width, length, bridge height, tip size, nose angle. This means that they'll be easily recognisable as one of the parents' children, because if the team were to go with like a recessive/dominant gene kind of system for this, it could get pretty complicated technically. There are a lot of different facial features the game would have to calculate when a new para is created through birth or in the Paramaker, and it also avoids extreme features being created like what we do see sometimes in Sims 2. When you combine a specific mix of incompatible sliders, it creates extreme results that are unsightly. If they were to mix the sliders between mum and dad, the child might end up with mum's narrow nose width and dad's extreme nose length, which would create a nose that just wouldn't really make sense. We can see in the picture clearly that the two children have inherited their mum's nose and their mouth. I think they've got the dad's eyebrows, but that's a little bit more difficult to tell. They look similar as siblings do, but still discernible. As we all know by now, paras will all have variable heights, even within the same age group. So we might have an adult para that is 180 centimeters tall, and another para of the same age that's 156 centimeters tall. The Paralives team have made this quite interesting in terms of inheritance. It's actually mostly up to chance and not dependent on the parents, which is pretty reflective of real life in my opinion. The team said they not only want to get this idea of height being inherited, but also to add some variation to it so that children of the same parents don't necessarily have the exact same height. They want the player to say things like, this family has giant genes running in it, or this child grew to be taller than both of their parents. It also wouldn't be necessary here to use a recessive/dominant gene system, as we wouldn't really be able to tell anyway, as it's not as distinctive as say hair or eye colour. We wouldn't really say, oh, this para is 156 centimeters tall, their great grandma was that height. I think it would also allow for more variety in height across different paras. It's not completely random though, it makes sense for different sexes too. So what they've done, they've categorised height into 3 different categories. So you've got short, medium and tall with different ranges depending on the para sex. So what that means is basically you have different height specifics. So I don't know, it might range from, I don't know what the shortest para is, but it could be, I don't know, 150 centimeters to 160 centimeters might fall in the short category, and so on and so forth. When a new para is born, the game will randomly pick one parent's category and apply it to the child. They'll then randomise the exact value within that range, so a character could be tall like their dad, but not the exact height. In real life, both my dad and brother are tall, but my brother is just a little bit taller than him. It's been a bit of a running joke as my brother has slowly overtaken my dad as he's gotten older, and I can just imagine the same thing in my game. Something I love that they've added for inclusivity, in the Paramaker you can make a genetic child from two same-sex parents, but during gameplay the parental couple will always consist of one para that can get pregnant and one that can get others pregnant. They've said that you can edit these per character in the Paramaker. I do hope that they allow an option for both parents to get others pregnant if possible, or vice versa, just so that people can have more options. Before we carry on, I want to take a quick moment to ask you all for a favour. If you have the time and you'd like, please consider subscribing if you like this content. I make commentary style videos on life simulation games, and my current goal is 1,000 subs by June. I'd be extremely grateful for any support that you guys give me, even watching this video. Moving on to the part I think people have been most anticipating, eye, hair and skin colour. I'm very excited to say that the team have gone for a simplified dominant/recessive model. That's pretty much what we have in real life. This is what they had in The Sims 2 and what I just missed so much. In Sims 3 and 4 it's just a 50-50 coin flip. In Sims 3 and 4, it's just a 50-50 coin flip system, which basically means if one parent has blue eyes and the other has brown eyes, the child has an equal chance of getting either. But with a dominant and recessive system, some traits are more likely to be passed down than others. So if one parent has a dominant trait and the other has a recessive one, the dominant trait usually wins, though the recessive trait can still be carried and show up in future generations. So for example, some traits will reappear several generations later, like a little surprise, like red hair. A grandparent may have red hair, but their children didn't get it, although their children's children, although their children's children may have got it. It keeps it super interesting. In a clean hood template for Sims 2, there is actually a chance that Nina and Dina Caliente can end up with a baby with alien skin. This is exactly because of this system. They both carry the gene, it just wasn't expressed in them because there wasn't enough of that gene for it to occur. So it's always really interesting for me when I play a fresh round of Pleasant View, and if I make Nina or Dina get pregnant, it's kind of a lottery on whether their baby will end up with the alien skin, and I just love it. I also love the fact that this applies to hair texture and freckles too, which we've never had in Sims. In the example the team gives, the mother's hair is coily and the father's hair is straight. In genetics terms, the dad has to have straight/straight alleles, since straight hair is never dominant. Since the kid has curly hair, that would mean that his mum has coily/curly alleles, and he has curly/straight alleles. I don't know what I am struggling so hard with, guys, in this video. Oh my god. There has been criticism about this kind of system in The Sims 2, that you would eventually end up with a town full of black or brown haired Sims with brown eyes. But this isn't actually true. In fact, it's arguably more likely to happen in The Sims 3 or 4 with the 50-50 coin flip system, because dominant traits don't actually exist there. Every generation has an equal chance to randomly pick either parent's features, which sort of slowly averages everyone out over time. With a dominant and recessive system, recessive traits don't disappear, they're instead carried forward invisibly and can resurface generations later, which actually preserves genetic variety instead of erasing it. These three systems aren't limited to just the live mode. They'll be used when creating a para from scratch in the Paramaker, when creating a para from two parents in the Paramaker and live mode, and when adding a sibling or parent in the Paramaker. The Paralives team have said for the more geeky and nerdy players, the team have also said they're potentially planning on advanced genetics interface for all those players out there that want to control their para's genetic themselves. I'd imagine that this means there'll be an extra panel in the Paramaker or somewhere in the para's data that will allow players to set up hidden traits across generations, but without interfering with existing paras if you don't want to. They've also mentioned that babies and toddlers don't have access to full sliders, so their features might look a bit generic at first, but their genetic data is still computed and saved, and once they grow up they should reveal their true heritage, which again is pretty much like real life, sort of. To me anyway, all babies look the same. It's also part of the excitement of waiting for the para to age and see how alike or not they are to their family members. Or of course, if you don't want to wait, you could always cheat by aging them up to see what they look like and then return without saving, which is what a lot of people do in The Sims. At the end of the post, they've given us a screenshot of what the genetics panel looks like in the Paramaker. This appears like it's optional, so you can either create a child that looks how you want it to and link it to the parent, or you could generate one from the parent's genetics. We have this in The Sims also. I'm really glad that they've revealed this post. It's such a hot topic in life sims. People love the idea of a realistic genetics system that reflects real life but with some added extras to make it fun. I can't wait to see my Paras families with purple eyes or hair get passed down or skipped through generations. There is a lot of experimenting to do. Some people might not like this system because they feel it's too restrictive in the sense that they don't feel there's enough variety. They might get bored of the same traits reappearing, especially in a generational or legacy type of gameplay. With a coin flip system, you'd get more variety pretty much immediately rather than generations down the line. And I think for players who do prefer that, the option will be available. The game is very moddable, and the post mentions that we can add, remove or modify any trait category that supports genetic inheritance, set up the sliders you want inherited or not, and more. So pretty much solving that issue. They've said this will allow us to do cool things like create a new alien species with green and grey skin tones and set green as a dominant colour. We can also make unnatural colours like pink eyes or blue skin inheritable. That alone creates some really interesting possibilities. Even further, they've said we can add new accessories like devil horns or Shrek ears and make them inheritable too. All those lovers of the Fae and winged species will absolutely love this one, I think. No more manually adding wings and ears or editing every character in the character creator. Not to toot my own horn, but I kind of called this. I recently made a video about my thoughts on Paralives in 2026, saying I think we need to start seeing some family gameplay or establish family households, as this is really important to live sim players. It would only make sense that they reveal this information closer to release, as they want to make sure it's polished before they do, seeing as it is such an integral part of the genre. What with the recent child gameplay video they released and now this, I think it's not a coincidence and we can expect to see more family gameplay later down the line. Although I do think it's likely we'll see more parts of the world first. So let me know what you guys think. Are you impressed, excited, or maybe disappointed that it's not so much your style? Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of the day whatever you're doing. I'll see you in the next one.